So our story starts at a high school graduation. We see a young man named Eduardo standing at the podium waiting to receive his high school diploma. He's feeling proud and excited as he is the first in his family to ever graduate from high school. As he looks down, he sees his school counselor, Miss Rios, and he thinks about all the times that she was there for him and all the support she provided him. As exciting and wonderful as this day is, Eduardo still feels sad. He is sad because he thinks about the journey he has had to get here today. You see, Eduardo is not like other kids graduating from high school. He's very different. Eduardo is an unaccompanied minor. Unaccompanied minors, or UMs, are immigrant youth who have traveled from their home country fleeing violence and seeking a better life. Eduardo is one of the 400,000 UMs that have come since 2003 to the United States. UMs come because their countries are unstable. They have high levels of violence, poverty, political instability, and climate change. Most unaccompanied minors come from the Northern Triangle of Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala. So Eduardo's story starts in Honduras. He was living in Honduras with his mother and father, and his father worked night and day to provide for their family. However, he still only made $5 a week, and even in Honduras, that's not a lot of money. Every day, his family was threatened by gangs. You see, in order to survive in Honduras, you have to pay taxes to gangs for protection. One day, Eduardo is outside with his father, and a gang member shows up, demanding the taxes be paid. Their family has no money to give. The gang member shoots and kills Eduardo's father instantly. The gang member then threatens Eduardo's life as well. You're next. Eduardo is fearful for his life and flees inside his house, screaming to his mother, not knowing what to do. His family decides to send him to the United States that night. They gather whatever money they can from friends and family. So Eduardo's journey is not on a bus or a plane. He's walking from Honduras. That's over 2,000 miles that he travels by foot. He is traveling with a small bag of food and a change of clothes, and the phone number of his godmother in Houston, Texas, written on a small piece of paper. He is hungry, he is tired, and he is afraid. Along the journey, he's able to meet people who help him and provide him with food and help him along the journey. The scariest and hardest part of this journey is traveling by train. You see, he's not sitting inside of a train. He's hanging on the outside of the train with other UMs traveling over 60 miles an hour over mountainous terrain to arrive in Mexico. Once in Mexico, he makes his way to the border of the United States. With the help of a coyote, he is able to cross into the US. However, once he arrives, he is detained by US Customs and Border Patrol. Once he's here in the United States, he is transferred to one of the hundreds of unaccompanied minor shelters in the United States. In May 2021, there were over 20,000 UMs in shelters across the United States. Now, these shelters have gotten a bad rep, but really they are a safe haven for UMs. As these shelters, they provide case management, medical services, food, shelter, bed, clothing, and dental services. Things that many of these UMs have never received before in their home country. Some UMs arrive at these shelters not knowing how to turn on water faucets or flush toilets. At the shelter, the goal is to get them reunified with family members, and that's what happens to Eduardo. They're able to identify a godparent or a family friend who is willing to care for Eduardo while he is here in the United States. And this family friend lives in Houston, Texas. So after about a month of paperwork and red tape and processes, Eduardo is able to go live with his godmother in Houston, Texas. One would think that once he's here, that things would be better. And for most UMs, things are better when they're here in the United States. They're able to attend school freely and have resources for food, shelter, and medical assistance. But that does not mean their trauma disappears. And in the case of Eduardo, he is still grieving the life that he left in Honduras and the life of his father. Now let's think back to Eduardo's relationship with his school counselor, Ms. Rios. It is people like Ms. Rios that help UMs be successful here in the US. Ms. Rios provided Eduardo with a safe place in school that he could go to ask for help. She was compassionate and empathetic, and she did the most important thing anyone could do. She asked him, "What happened to you?" That allowed Eduardo to share his trauma and his story of what happened to him in Honduras and why he is here in Houston, Texas today. In addition to that, Ms. Rios not only helped Eduardo, but he helped his godmother. She provided the family with resources such as food and social services. And most importantly, Ms. Rios connected Eduardo to a soccer team. So it turns out that Eduardo's a really great soccer player. And through this team, he built a network of friends. His coaches offered him support and motivation to be successful here in the United States. UMs are everywhere. They are in our communities. They are our children. They are our future. So you might be asking yourself, why is this important to me? What can I do? Like I said, UMs are everywhere. They may be seeking services at your medical practice. They may be your counseling client or a student in your classroom. But if we don't stop to ask UMs, what happened to you? Tell me your story. They hold on to their trauma, and it makes it harder for them to connect here in the United States and be successful. So as we work with UMs, we need to remember that UMs are resilient. They want to be successful, and they have big dreams. They love being here in the United States, and they want to be good citizens and part of our community. It is also to remember that despite having high levels of trauma, they are often afraid to seek help, which is why we need to ask them, what happened and how can we help you? UMs live in the shadows because of their undocumented status, so we have to be the ones to start the conversation. If Eduardo had not had his supportive godmother and school counselors like Ms. Rios and his soccer coach and his friends in his soccer team, the chances of him graduating high school and being successful would be nearly impossible. We as social workers, counselors, teachers, and medical providers have the opportunity to be the supportive network that UMs need to be successful. All it takes is to ask, what happened to you?